that is, matters plainly governed by IHL, Armenia is seeking to begin within SERD the entirety of a period of active hostilities, thus establishing a wholly open-ended jurisdiction with respect to, for example, alleged violence caused to civilians of Armenian ethnicity. And it is plain that this concern was not and could not be addressed yesterday because this is exactly what Armenia is seeking to do. The court heard countless times yesterday that all Armenia's allegations of fact must be accepted as true at this stage, and hence, in effect, the court must accept at this stage that there is Armenophobia, that this operates and prevails from the top to the bottom of Azerbaijan's government and military, such that all actions of Azerbaijani soldiers that result in allegedly indiscriminate or targeted violence against Armenian civilians, or the mistreatment of Armenian military personnel are motivated by racial discrimination. Any closer inspection, it said, must await the merits. On the basis of what you've just heard from Mr. Oki, it is easy enough to see why the court is being asked to assume that absolutely everything that Armenia alleges is true, but that does not mean that this is the correct approach. I will address the issues in the following order. First, it is important to identify the various mischaracterizations of Azerbaijan's jurisdictional objection that you heard yesterday, and to recall how Azerbaijan, in fact, puts its case, dealing along the way with the somewhat bizarre contention that Azerbaijan has not put forward genuine jurisdictional objections, and in light of Armenia's objections, is simply hoping that the two sets of objections will cancel each other out. Second, it is necessary to revisit briefly the applicable legal test and identify how Armenia is seeking to pull back from the position it adopted in its written pleadings. And finally, I will explain how Armenia's freestanding claim does not satisfy the applicable legal test. Turning then to the mischaracterization of Azerbaijan's objection, it was said by Professor Murfi yesterday that Azerbaijan is apparently is seeking from you a ruling that any violent abuse by Azerbaijan of ethnic Armenian soldiers connected to hostilities, even if undertaken in conjunction with extraordinarily hateful and vile racial rhetoric, is utterly incapable of violating the CERD. To similar effect, he implicitly recognized the force of Azerbaijan's concern that the very low jurisdictional threshold for which Armenia advocates would facilitate CERD claims with respect to all apparent breaches of IHL in an armed conflict involving two states that are primarily of different ethnic origins. However, he stated, but consider as well the result of Azerbaijan's preferred approach. Any party to an armed conflict could commit unspeakable racially motivated abuse against soldiers and civilians alike, and yet not be held accountable under the CERD.